Hey guys, Suze here. Welcome back to another What's for Dinner on Keto video. Today is a special keto Christmas dinner idea meal prep. So today we'll be making a keto holiday glazed ham, keto goat cheese, cauliflower mashed, keto green bean casserole, and keto dinner rolls. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in seeing, go ahead and stick around. Let's get into the video. I wanna catch the wave. So first up, we're going to get started on our keto herbed goat cheese cauliflower mash. This is a recipe, as most of these recipes are today, that is inspired and adapted from Kendra Hollis from over at Peace, Love, and Low Carb. Love her. So to start with, I'm taking about 4 cups of frozen cauliflower and just arranging it on a cookie sheet. I do have my oven preheated to 425. Then I'm just going to season it really well with some sea salt and some ground black pepper, and go ahead and, like I said, at 425, pop this in the oven for half an hour. Once it comes out, I did let it cool slightly before I put it in the food processor, just because it's plastic, even though it's hard plastic, that's a little questionable. So I just stuffed all that cauliflower into the food processor. And to that, I am going to go ahead and add 1/4 of a cup butter, which is just half of a regular stick. And then I'm going to add 4 ounces of goat cheese, just kind of crumbled that. 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. 1/4 a cup of sour cream. And 1/2 cup of heavy cream. Two teaspoons of minced garlic, and then a seasoning blend of 2 tablespoons chives, and I just used freeze-dried chives. 1/4 of a teaspoon plus a little extra of dried dill, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon red pepper flakes. And then I'm just gonna blend this on up, process it, I guess, since it's a food processor. Then when this is done, this is the consistency it looks like. I just grabbed a glass loaf pan, and I'm just gonna plot this all out into it and then spread it evenly, and go ahead and stick it to the side to pop it in the oven to heat up later. So next up, we're going to get started on our ham by going ahead and making our maple glaze for that. So to start with, I just took 1/2 cup of butter and melted that in a small saucepan. Added to that 1 cup of brown swerve, and to this I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the Chalk Zero maple syrup. That's to give it the maple flavor and in place of using like a molasses. Then I'm adding 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard to that, along with 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, 1/2 a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 a teaspoon of ground cloves. And then I'm just going to whisk this together until all of that dissolves and it thickens up just a little to make a nice and easily spreadable glaze. Now, getting started on the ham. This is a spiral ham. It is, I think, 8 to 10 pounds. Watch out with this, guys. This one is cured with a tiny bit of sugar. The carb count wasn't too high on it for me to not go ahead and cook it after my husband picked it up from the store, as the spiralized hams are more expensive. But I would have preferred an uncured ham. So, you know, to each their own, make your own decision on that. So I just put it in a regular casserole dish. I'm adding 1/4 a cup of water to the bottom of it. I almost forgot to take the plastic part that covers the bone on the bottom, so make sure you guys do that if you cook a ham. So there you go, toss that in the trash. I do have my oven preheated to 350, and I'm just going to go ahead and cover this with foil and go ahead and bake it without any glaze for a half hour before we start glazing and basting. While that is in the oven, I'm going to get started on my dinner rolls. So this is a questionable recipe that I'm not sure I can even find to link down below, but it did turn out well in the end, but was kind of hard to come together. I did cut it in half, so I'm adding 1/2 block of cream cheese along with 1.5 cups of mozzarella, to my saucepan over low heat, and we're just melting and mixing those together just like you would any kind of fathead dough. Once that's melted, I am just going to turn it out into a plastic mixing dish. Love the way that looks. And to it, add some dry ingredients. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and bear with me, this sounds weird, 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of almond flour, which I ended up having to add more later, guys. And as usual, I'm using my silicone spoon to just knead that together before I add 2 eggs. And again, mixing it all together. And once I have everything well incorporated and mixed, I am going to sit this dough to the side and let it rest for about 20 minutes. And while it's doing that, it is time to pull my ham out of the oven and go ahead and start basting it. So I'm just going to use a silicone basting brush, and we're just going to cover the whole outside and in between the layers with the maple glaze that we just made. So this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to repeat this process over and over again every 15 minutes for about 2 to 2.5 hours total on your cooking time, depending on how cooked you want your ham. It obviously starts out as a fully cooked ham, and you're just basically trying to heat it all the way through and get that glaze cooked in there. I do like to try to get it in between all of the layers. I just love Sparrow ham so much. I wish I could find one that's all the way uncured and not like, I'm sure it's probably like $100, right? So then I'm just popping that in the oven. Like I said, I did up the temperature to 425. And while that's going, I am going to get started on rolling out my dinner rolls. Now that my dough is set, I did have to repeatedly coat my hands in avocado oil, and I did add 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup almond flour to this to get it to the consistency I wanted. But once I had them rolled out, I think I aimed for 12 here, I just sat the whole plate in the fridge and let them chill for about 20 minutes. While those were chilling, it's time to pull out our ham again and baste another time. So now that the ham has gotten hot most of the way through, I am using a metal spatula to assist me in picking up those layers and getting the glaze in between all of those. And we're going to pop this back into the oven for another 15 minutes. And while that's going, I'm going to get started on green bean casserole by boiling up some cut green beans that I had in the freezer. It's just a whole bag. While those are boiling, I'm taking a cast iron, smaller Dutch oven and melting a couple tablespoons butter in the bottom of it, and pulling out my chilled dough balls and putting them in there to where they touch. I lowered the temperature on the oven to 400, and when I pull out the ham to baste it again, I'm popping these in for 20 to 25 minutes. Now, working on the green bean casserole again. In this dish, I have 1/2 cup of almond flour and a teaspoon of sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon black pepper, and I just mixed that all together. I took a medium onion and sliced it thinly, and I'm just putting that in here to coat. Kendra Holly, when she makes this, she of course adds mushrooms to her green bean casserole, and she adds shallots, which are so tasty. I just use onion, but again, the original recipe is linked down below if you want to try how she does it. So put the onions in, fully coated them over in a skillet on the stove, medium-high heat, avocado oil, slapped those onions in there and started frying them up. This made my whole house smell so delicious. You would have thought I was cooking the most carb-laden food ever. So next I'm going to get started on the cream sauce. So I took a couple tablespoons of butter in a large saucepan, added 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, and I'm just sauteing those together. Kind of let those go a little longer than I normally would. To that, I'm adding a half a cup of chicken stock and a half a cup of heavy cream and mixing that up. I just brought it to a boil and then simmered. Once it got a little thick, I added a fourth of a cup of grated Parmesan cheese and just whisked that all together until it gets to the consistency that I like. Meanwhile, took the rolls out. This is what they look like. Nothing to write home about, but they did end up tasting so delicious. And here's our ham all cooked up out of the oven, ready to slap our sides in. So, threw those green beans into the sauce, fully coated them, and then I'm just going to add those to an 8x8 baking dish. And then here's our fried onions. Just gonna put those on the top. So delicious. Oh my gosh, this was so good. I wasn't as crazy about the garlic mash. I thought it was a little too heavy on the parm, but my husband loved it. But this green bean casserole was definitely a winner. And the dinner rolls, as finicky as they were definitely a winner. And obviously the ham was delicious. All right, so I just popped that all in the oven. I topped my mash with a little parsley. This is what they all look like when they come out. And here it is all plated up, guys. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Keto holiday ham, goat cheese, cauliflower mash, green bean casserole, keto dinner rolls. Oh my gosh, this was so good. Guys, I hope this gave you some inspiration for some items that you can cook for Christmas or any of the other mini holidays that everyone's celebrating this time of year. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what your favorite thing is to cook over Christmas and just all of the holidays in general. And make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you never miss a What's for Dinner on Keto video. We drop new ones every single Sunday. Till next time, bye guys.
Sleigh bells are ringing out by the sea, sending a message of love and sympathy.